As we saw in a previous video, there are certain mobs that represent a danger to villagers. Amongst the undead there are the zombies, zombie villagers, husks, the drowned, zombified piglin, and the suckling. And amongst the illagers, we have the Vindicator, the Pillager, the Ravager, the Vex, who is summoned by the Evoker. So these are mostly the mobs that are potentially going to harm your villagers. And of course we also have the players, who assault villages, steal everything and kill everybody. Please do not assault villages, this is just savagery. So there are certain mobs from which the villager has to be protected. Of course these are the mobs from which the villager is going to try to escape. For example, we have the zombie. When the villager sees it, it will try to flee towards safety. Within sight, the golems are going to try to eliminate this threat, since they are programmed to protect the villagers. We also have the pillagers. And curiously enough, witches are not hostile towards villagers. But they can be hostile towards golems. And golems as well towards them. So the first hostile event I want to talk is the zombie siege. This event exists since a long time in Minecraft, and probably is the first one. So each time it is midnight, which is represented by tick 18,000, there is a 10% probability that the game is going to generate a zombie siege. What this means is that there is a 90% probability that no event will be generated. But in this 10% of probability, the event may occur. If this probability is met, the attempts to generate a zombie siege will stop until one out of two things occur. Number 1, the event does occur. And number 2, eventually the sun comes out and the attempts to generate a siege stop. The precise moment this occurs is when the sky light level reaches 12. And the fundamental requisite for this event to occur is that the player has to be within the reaches of the village. Like I am right now. So let's try to remember how to know if we are within the reaches of a village or not. Just remember that a village is formed officially when a villager is in an area and it has a claim point of interest. For example, a bed. A point of interest can be the bed, the bar station, or the bell. So if we press F3 and G, we remember that the world is built out of chunks and sub-chunks. In this example, you can see that I have highlighted the sub-chunks with this glass over here. And in this case, the only sub-chunk that contains points of interest of this village is the red one. And in case one of these points of interest may be located on an adjacent sub-chunk, this one will be marked with red as well. And the space that consists of this village is marked by this sub-chunk, and the adjacent sub-chunks marked with lime glass. The 26 sub-chunks that are surrounding the red one. Once we are within this space, technically we are inside the village. So knowing this, we can see that we are right now within the space of this village. Nearing midnight, if the 10% of probability is met, then yes, the game is going to try to generate the event. And once reaching this probability, within the reach of 32 blocks from the player, the game is going to try to summon some zombies for the event. What this means is that if in that moment we are located in the center of the village, the zombies will be summoned within close proximity of the village. But if we are at the border, the games will be summoned further away. The game is going to try to generate the zombies within 16 blocks of distance from the selected point. And let's suppose that the 20 attempts to generate zombies are successful, then the siege is going to consist of 20 zombies. And if some of those attempts to generate zombies are unsuccessful, for example if there is too much light or there are some obstacles, then the zombie siege will constitute of less zombies. Here we have some command blocks. Remember that midnight is tick 18,000. Here we're going to try to generate a night at time 17,990, just before midnight. Let's see next command block and we just add 24,000 ticks, which should be next night. And so, because it is not safe to say that in the first night a zombie siege will be generated, we have to make many attempts. So let's go to first night and preferably activate hitboxes to see the zombies easier. By the time being we can see all the villagers try to reach their beds. Let's try to go to the second night. Still nothing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And well, for the time being I'm counting about 15 zombies, which I am not allowing to enter the village because of these fences I placed previously. And as you can imagine, defending ourselves from these events is not really that hard. The first reason is the fence, but also if we have iron golems around, And the second event I want to talk about are the patrols. When a Minecraft world has reached 100 minutes, or 5 Minecraft days existing, these pillager groups may be generated. You can see that one of them has this banner. The patrol at least is going to consist of 5 pillagers. And some patrols may even reach 8 members, like this one we are watching right now. These groups are going to be spawned when a player is within the area. And another requisite is that the player must not be within a village, or within 5 chunks of that village. In one spawn, they are going to wander around the world, searching for what to attack or what to assault. For example, villages, wandering traders, iron golems, or even players. Once I am within reach, they're going to watch out for me. At this point, they're going to point at me with the crossbows and watch out for me, just in case I get too near. And once I am within 10 blocks of reach from them, they're going to initiate hostilities. As you see here, they start to reload their crossbows, and they're going to start to shoot at me. Another thing that may happen is that if an illager member finds a patrol, they're going to join and assume the behavior of a patrol. For example, you can see this witch over here, where if the witch detects that one of the pillagers is lacking health, it is going to throw a healing potion, and of course it's also going to try and attack me. Let's take out a few of them. Here you're going to see this pillager has a banner. This is the captain. Let's take him out, and since I killed this captain, you can see I have this effect, Bad Omen. So, what is Bad Omen? When killing a captain you get this effect for 100 minutes, about an hour 40, and is going to add up with every captain you kill. And besides patrol, you can also find captains in pillager outposts, and even older on woodland mansions. The way this works is the following. So let's get Bad Omen. And now we have the effect. Let's remember what constitutes a village space. We can see there are these sub-chunks here. I have points of interest right over there. In those sub-chunks over there, the red and the blue one, and a few more over there. The village space is defined by these green blocks over here, as we have already seen. So what happens is I have this effect, and I dare to enter one village. You can see I cross this barrier just over here, and an effect bar is going to start to charge. Right on the top there it says raid. We can hear a horn sound coming from this direction. These pillagers start to enter the village. And this is the third event I want to talk in this episode, the raids. You can see this is the effect. If we kill a captain, we obtain Bad Omen effect. And if when having this effect we enter a village, an effect bar is going to start to charge on the top of the screen. When this bar is complete, the raid is going to be summoned. Villagers spawn and they attacked. Now we're going to see the game mechanics about the raids. So raids work somewhat like this. For example, let's say I have Bad Omen and I enter the village territory marked by these chunks. Just when the player crosses the barrier, the game is going to determine its exact coordinates. For example, just over here. Then it's going to try to locate all the points of interest of the village within 64 blocks from me. Once they have all been detected, an average coordinate position is going to be determined, and that center is going to be determined as the center of the raid. Some of these points of interest is going to include over these ones, which are near from me, and all the points of interest that are all the way from there are not going to be included, because they are more 64 blocks from me. And as a quick calculation, we're going to see that the center of the raid event is going to be around here. So let's suppose that the center of the raid is this one over here, which is an average location from all the points of interest. So the first thing the game is going to try to do is spawn the raid 64 blocks of distance from that center of the raid event. It is going to make some attempts, and let's suppose all of them fail. Maybe because of obstacles and stuff like that. If this first stage fails, it's going to attempt to get to the second stage. Now it's going to make some attempts to spawn a raid 32 blocks from the center. These are a lot closer than the previous one. If the second stage fails, it is now going to attempt to do this 0 blocks of distance. So considering this, the raid is going to try to be summoned near this point, which is very close to the village. So there are 2 more characteristics regarding this raid. We're going to see this right now. The first thing to be considered is the level of bad omen we're going to take to the village. For example, here we have a captain, and if we kill him, we get the bad omen effect. What happens if we kill a second captain? Now we have bad omen 2. Third captain. Fourth one. Bad omen 4. Now a 5th captain. Bad omen 5. Captain number 6. But we continue with bad omen 5. Now a 7th one. We still have bad omen 5. What level of bad omen we take to a village is going to help determine what enchantment level the crossbows of the pillagers are going to have, and if they have an enchanted crossbow. And the second factor, we're going to see it in the Minecraft wiki. So remember that the game has different difficulty levels, which is peaceful, easy, normal, and hard. On these tables we can see that what constitutes its raid and each wave is going to vary with the difficulty of the game. Of course, raids are made up of waves, and here displayed on the Minecraft wiki we can see what constitutes each of the waves of each of the raids depending on the difficulty of the game. For example, in easy we're going to have 3 base waves. On wave number 1 we're going to have between 4 and 5 pillagers. On the second wave we're going to have some pillagers and have some vindicators. And in the third wave we're going to have some pillagers, 0 or 1 vindicators, and a ravager. But here on the table we have something called the extra wave. Let's say that we enter a village with bad omen 1, and on easy difficulty level we're going to have 3 waves, on normal difficulty 5 waves, and on hard difficulty 7 waves. But if we enter the village with bad omen 2 or more, we're going to have an extra wave, having as a result on easy difficulty level 4 waves, on normal difficulty 6 waves, and on hard difficulty 8 waves. One funny thing that the extra wave has is that it's going to be built up very similarly as the previous wave, or which is the same, the last base wave. Let's come again to this village. You can see that the bar is charging up. In this event, one of the things that's going to happen is that one of the villagers is going to race towards the bell and ring it. You can see everyone is entering in panic mode, and what's going to happen is that a lot of them is going to try to gather at the center of the village, and the other ones are going to seek refuge at houses and doors. Here you can see these particle effects in the panic mode that look like sweat. So we're going to try to help them out with iron golems, because the pillagers are going to be hostile towards the villagers. Iron golems are actually pretty tough, so they're going to kill the pillagers pretty easily. You can see in the bar says it's only 1 member remaining, but done. Well, that was the captain, and one of the drops of the captain is the banner. One thing that happens is that when the captain dies before the rest of the members, one of the members randomly is going to try to reach the banner, and once it reaches it, is going to become the new captain. You can see that this bar also charged up, and now we have the second wave of the raid. Remember, we are on hard difficulty level, so we're going to have a total of 8 waves. That last one actually tried to reach the banner, because the captain had already died before him. So we start the third raid, and there they are. We have a new member, the Ravager. What the bar is showing up is the total health points of the raid members, and that way we continue with the rest of the waves. As the raid progresses, you're going to see that each time, the waves become more and more difficult to beat. Now we have more Ravagers, more Vindicators, and other members like the Evokers and Witches. Evokers summon these members, Vexes, which are only temporary. And once the raid is defeated, we receive this effect: Hero of the Village. The level of this effect is going to determine from the level of Bad Omen we summon this raid with. And of course this has extra benefits. Once the raid is defeated, villagers are going to engage this behavior, which includes celebrating with fireworks. Hero of the Village has extra benefits. For example, if I try to trade with this villager, we can see that the prices have been modified. And the extent at which these prices are going to be modified is going to depend on the Hero of the Village effect level. One thing we have to take in account is that Hero of the Village effect is not an effect on the village, but it is an effect on the player. So let's say I help out defeating the raid. That effect I am only going to get it if I participated on the defense of the village. And the way we participate that we have to kill at least one of the members. I can even go to another village and I will still have the effect and the benefits, which is going to include price discounts. And the second benefit may be that the villagers are going to give me some presents. What they are going to do with these presents is that they are going to come near me and throw them to the ground. We still have some of the drops of the mobs we defeated from the raid. For example, the captains drop out their banner, we have emeralds, evokers drop out totems of undying, ravagers drop the saddle, and vindicators drop out emeralds. We even have some drops from the witches. We can say that defeating raids can be a very lucrative business. But what happens if we lose the battle? In Desmond Igloo there are some villagers. You can see these two villagers with their claimed beds, and yes, this counts officially as a village. So let's get the Bad Omen effect. And just when we pass this barrier, we summon the raid. One thing that happens is that when this village ceases to be a village, the raid is cancelled. But let's place the beds again. Let's get nighttime, so they can claim the beds, and this constitutes a village again. So let's come to this village again with Bad Omen, and just when we cross this barrier, again the raid is summoned. So here comes the first wave, and they enter the village space. The first thing they're going to try to do is direct their attacks towards the villagers. Here the first wave is defeated, and so. In this case this is the third wave. It includes a Ravager. This should be the last one, since the Iron Golem is dead. And since the village exists no more, these individuals celebrate. Pillagers jump, this horn sound, and the Vindicators raise their arms. Evokers do the same thing. Now let's try to do the same thing. In this case you can see we have raised this protection barrier. What we are now going to do is destroy these points of interest. And like as a previous occasion, without this point of interest, there is no village. So Minecraft interprets that the village has been destroyed. And like the previous occasion, the raid members celebrate. And the third outcome is this one. We enter the area. We summon the raid. So over the edge of this hall we place some trapdoors. And effectively we have trapped the members of the raid. Smile. And if we wait 40 minutes, the raid event goes extinct. and this mouse room in here. So in this case, this is the only wave we confronted, and we never faced the rest of the waves. And now let's talk a bit about defenses, and how to defend your village from hostile events. So let's start with this. The easiest raid to face is the one that never occurs. So if one day you come with a bad omen effect, and you are going to enter a village, don't forget to get rid of this effect first, and then you can enter the village. But let's suppose you never remove this effect, and you inevitably summon the raid. So once it is summoned, how do you stop it? As funny as it looks, yeah, a simple fence does help to stop a raid. Even if the raid contains ravagers, you're perfectly safe over here. You even have a second barrier here, which brings us to a second method, which is leaving the villagers indoors. Of course, a small downside from the fence is that villagers can shoot over it, and the rest of them can see us. But a simple solution is actually just building a taller wall, and how you want to build it is really up to you. For example, this is a wall a few blocks tall, but it is enough for hostile mobs not to see us. So, villagers as well as us are perfectly safe on the other side. And from that point, it is up to your imagination, or your will, to let your defenses grow and grow. And besides the wall, we can actually defend the entrance of the village. For example, we can install this gate, which will not allow the mobs to get in. And we can install an automatic system to open and close the gate when we need to get in or out. And once we pass through the gate, we can just close the gate behind us, and once again the village is safe from any threat outside. But why stop there? We can even build a moat for extra defense. This does not just stop our enemies, it actually makes them slower, making them easier targets. What do I mean by targets? Well, we can actually build these walls and towers from where we can shoot arrows. Is that we can build fortified village from where we can defend and shoot our enemies. They are going to outnumber us, so we need some advantages. We can build these gates, we can build these towers, even a castle, and some walls. And even the entire wall is a platform from where we can shoot. The only thing we need to cross the moat is a simple bridge. So, we're ready for combat. It always rains before great battles. So the next detail we're going to talk about is combat. Since we have the structures to fight, now we're going to use them. Which are the weapons you're going to use to defend your village is up to you. But since we have towers and walls and platforms to shoot, the obvious answer is using ranged weapons. In this case I have crossbows. Just don't forget to also carry melee weapons, maybe a shield, and if you're going to use ranged weapons, just don't forget to bring enough ammo. Next point, iron golems. Remember, these are tough buddies. Actually, on one-on-one combat, iron golems are tougher than ravagers. And either you join the fight or not, these are great warriors, at the very least good helpers, if they don't resolve the entire situation. Just remember that at gossip time, as well as when villagers enter panic mode, they have a higher probability to build golems. Or we can build them ourselves, using these materials. And our final point is pretty obvious, and it is that bigger villages have a bigger probability of surviving these events. For example, this small village that only contains 2 inhabitants is a great danger from these events, so I really recommend to increase these numbers. This even increases the probabilities that the villagers are going to fabricate iron golems. Even if 10 or 15 villagers die in the attack, the rest of the village is going to remain alive, and of course, there is strength in numbers. So remember that the villages that the game generates are about this big. They only contain between 5 and 15 villagers, but from there, we can only continue to add houses and beds and workstations and food sources. And from there, you yourself can decide where to stop, because your villages can only continue to grow and grow. So one thing you can do is just place a village right beside another, merge them, and they can behave as a big town. Just one big solid population of villagers. For the next episode, now that we are talking about numbers, that is precisely what we are going to be talking about: villager reproduction and how to grow villages. See you next time.